Tonight, we're going in depth, examining how Denver's homelessness plan is taking into account success stories in other U.S. cities.
Well, Denver 7's Russell Haythorne traveled to Houston to find out how that city has become a real model for the rest of the country.
This was a broken table, and I took a dresser top off, and I'm going to make it a big long table.
Tammy Dempsey knows hobbies are a luxury.
These are the things I love to do.
That are only possible with stability.
I've never lived somewhere so long in my life.
She not only has a home now, but a craft room in her Houston area apartment.
This one I redid
after living on the streets for 3 years.
Now, VOA is wonderful.
Volunteers of America Texas helps pay her rent. VOA Texas is just one of nearly 100 non-governmental organizations, or NGOs, that make up a vast coalition designed to end homelessness in Houston.
I do feel proud to be a part of what the solution has been, and Housing First has been it. Yes, it's housing first while getting those wraparound services, not housing instead of services. And I think that is part of the secret sauce to what the Homeless Coalition did.
Houston has managed to get 65% of its homeless population off the streets over the past decade.
And the answer has been housing. 100 NGOs, all aligned, not in competition with one another.
Of course, it is not perfect.
I lost my job, I lost my apartment, and I started losing my property.
Reynaldo Castro has somehow fallen through the cracks of Houston's system. He desperately wants a home.
It's a big step towards my success, living a successful life like I want to.
I signed a housing choice voucher, and they telling me I got permanent housing, and they looking for me, and I'm still out on the street.
Michelle Van Zandt is also trying to navigate Houston's system.
They said, "Oh, Michelle, you got permanent housing." And I said, "Okay." She said, "They've been looking for you." I said, "How can you be looking for me and I'm right here?"
And that is perhaps why Denver's new Housing First model is so controversial.
But who's going to be here for the families?
Rosemary Gilmet is the HOA president for the condo complex right next door to the Embassy Suites, which the city of Denver just purchased to house the homeless. Gilmet says unlike Houston's vast network of NGOs, Denver only has a handful of nonprofit partners and not nearly enough funding.
Where are the resources for these families that are going to go into Embassy Suites?
This is just a notice of violations for the trash.
Pete Foster is trying to open a new event space on South Broadway in Denver, but says one of the delays is the vandalism and trash, often left behind by the homeless.
We spend money painting, cleaning up the trash, and then 24 hours later it's the same thing. So, they see the empty lot next door and they think nobody's there, so they feel like it's a good place to stay. In an ideal world, we would have been open by now.
Both Foster and Gilmet give new Mayor Mike Johnston the benefit of the doubt.
So far I've heard nothing but good things about the new mayor. He does want to help provide a safe space for people to go.
But they're also realistic about the challenges of the mayor's ambitious goals.
My concern is they're rushing through this.
Houston is first to admit it takes time, but Houston also says you cannot delay.
It's very important that the mayor's all in on this. A political will is the number one first step.
Which is why Johnston is blazing forward at an unapologetic speed.
And what we know is that in the past, it took almost 3 years to site one of these micro-communities to put 40 people into housing. That's not at a speed or a scale to actually solve this problem. And so if you want to actually address the problem, you have to move with urgency and at scale. That's why we're trying to get 1,000 people off the streets and into housing, which would be a pace that even far outpaces Houston, which is the national model right now. It's the single most dangerous, unsafe thing we could do is keep doing what we were doing before.
Dempsey agrees.
I don't think you can stay on these streets and be alive.
And she's thankful to finally have found the way home.
And I try to know the kids' birthdays around here and stuff and encourage people.
In Houston, Texas, Russell Haythorne, Denver 7.
And Denver's mayor says he's optimistic he'll reach that goal of getting 1,000 people off the streets by the end of this year. According to the city, 889 people have been moved indoors to city shelters, micro-communities, and into permanent housing. Mayor Johnson's goal could be achieved at the last minute as well. A new micro-community site at the Stay Inn near 38th and Peoria will open on the 31st.